never be afraid again. I will keep on fighting till the end. I can walk in my. Oh, hello there. Hey guys, what's going on? This is my mind. Now imagine this delicious orange was the universe. Here we go.
Though I know I should be wary, still I venture someplace scary. Ghostly haunting, I turn loose. Beetlejuice! Beetlejuice! Beetlejuice!
Welcome everyone now and temporally in the future. I'm the current host of this channel, The Memes of Destruction. And rather than using a whole bunch of really complicated buzzwords that I don't really know what they actually mean or anything to try to describe what I believe the proper model of the universe is, shout out to Thad Roberts, who basically has proposed that, at least it appears, that our universe is essentially the complement of the hyperbolic figure eight knot. Now, we've been over it before. It's on the little thingy before. There's other videos on it. Check out that channel. It's in the doobly-doo. Now, we have a tasty orange here. And what I claim is we essentially live in the peel. Why do I say this? Because all I know is different videos come out. I'm listening to certain things. Let's go back over here. Let's go to the notes say 18 minutes. This is from the Institute for Advanced Study. It's a lot of good stuff coming out from there. So we'll go back to the 18-minute mark. And what do we come across? Oh, it's actually no, before we get there, there's better things. They go over some of the geodesics. Oh, it's this?
So in the algebraic approach, Einstein.
Hold on. I need to make sure I actually share the audio because this is important as well as delicious. So we'll go back to our little screen over there. We're going to share the little tab. There's a new look at completeness and a generalized symmetry. It kind of sounds like they're trying to account for the bulk. Nobody's ever seen an image like that before. Continue.
Is written in this nice form here by saying that the algebra that we associate to a certain ball R must be included in the algebra, in the commutant of the algebra that we associate to the complementary region.
The complementary?
Now, follows, we are going to assume something that is known as Hug duality.
Duality,
which is
you
the fact
say?
that for balls, this inclusion of algebras is actually saturated.
So we're talking about balls. Now, this resembles a ball. And depending on how far we get into here, we'll go for about 30 seconds.
The problems that appear when relaxing this condition turn out to be severe and make the quantum field theory from different perspectives pathological. So we will not be dealing with those here, and we will just assume
basically there's a paper out. He doesn't necessarily go into all the things. We can totally check out the paper. I see you there, LDG and Sherry. Now, what's very interesting is these are both balls. We'll continue on.
Exactly. We assume just for...
Wait. I think it's Professor Whitten.
We assume that for balls, not for arbitrary.
Exactly. We assume just for balls.
Just for balls. Okay. Because balls, spheres,
I had a question
and different things are...
to take a commutant, you need to know what you're taking a commutant within. Is the commutant within the algebra associated to R union R prime?
Can you repeat? So the commutant here, the commutant...
Commutant within what algebra?
Basically, they end up being equivalent. So we'll jump ahead a little bit more. The next diagram. Oh, what's this?
Additive net is always there in the quantum field.
All I know is I'm looking at this. There seems to be two circles there. If you're within two circles, might that kind of be like, I don't know. Let's lower this a little bit. I don't know. The inner flesh of this orange is basically kind of spherical, and there seems to be a skin going around it. I don't know. Does it count as a ball? But all I know is, okay, let's assume we live in the peel. This is the universe, because you got the outside rind, and you got the inside. All right, so what I'm saying, or I'm claiming is, we're living in basically a 2D plane. Basically, the universe seems surprisingly flat. However, we do have a 3D plane based upon our observation. Excuse me, 3+1 dimensions, because we need to work in space-time there, because it's the best we got. Not a bad map to work. We've been doing it for 100 years. Now, what I'm saying is we're moving along the inner. Basically, you have a 2 dimensions here. You get 2 dimensions here. And basically, based upon whatever resonance, whatever is happening within here, let's say we're traveling through maybe the ether, some may call a superfluid. All I know is Professor Sabine Hossenfelder. I apologize. She's basically the Stone Cold Steve Austin of the physics community, I claim. That lady don't take no guff, but she's like, this makes a surprisingly lot of sense. I'm paraphrasing. But essentially, you're traversing along here, and guess what? When you come to the bottom of the orange, if we remember from some of our diagrams, let me bring it up, because this is actually important. We want to get there was a bunch of other things. This is like the one thing I didn't bring up because it's in the thumbnail. So it's like, all right, so the hyperbolic figure 8 knot. We'll bring it up here. Go back to share the screen, go to the window, boom, boom, boom. All right. So hyperbolic figure 8 knot. This is a figure 8 knot complement provided by Professor Segaman. Basically, you see the other articulation in the center there. So what ends up happening is, see, turns it around, and that's basically what generates it. That's the cyclic action, the 5 actions of the hyperbolic figure 8 knot, which is the smallest hyperbolic manifold, at least when you're using basically like, pretty sure like the Jones polynomial index and stuff like that for something that could generate something like that. It's just very convenient, and it's one of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. So basically, when you get to the no, he shows it earlier in the beginning. I'm bad. Okay, doesn't matter if that's in or out. Let's assume it's going in. So you go along the peel here until you get to the bottom. You go into the bottom there, and then you have this twisting action and everything. And all I know is, let's say you're sucking in whatever part of the universe is within that vicinity. You're probably going to get a whole bunch of supermassive black holes and everything going through there. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, you end up compressing it to such a finite point where there's a Mobius twist over. I don't know. Sounds like a really big bang. Just saying. I'm just saying. And then you're going to basically have a very homogeneous state. You're going to come along. You're going to have some cooling. So, I don't know, like 2.73 degrees Kelvin, something like that. Some might say it's the cosmic microwave background. Shout out to Professor King, the Nick Fury of the physics community, in my opinion. He's been putting together a team. I met a lot of good people through him. Now, I want to eat this orange. So we're gonna go forward a little bit. I see you there. Hey, don't you even start, Jen. Don't you get folks onto the flat universe. God, the meme would be so powerful, though. Great memes comes great responsibility. Then again, I am just a crazy person on this internet stuff and things. That's why I'm able to say these things. Other folks, like the Institute for Advanced Study, they got to do their research, and essentially, it at least sounds like to me, and again, I don't have all these people's gifts. I just notice things. Thank you, Thad. It sounds like they're talking about the same thing. They're just going through it with all the established literature. Oh my God, we're actually connecting things. God, we live in the best universe. All right, we'll go back here. We'll go up to 18 minutes because apparently that's important for some reason. Let's see, why is it important? Go.
Bubbles in the orbifold because they are not necessarily invariant under the symmetry. The observables are just the invariant twist, which are just average over of each of the twists over each conjugacy classes. So the invariant twists are labeled by conjugacy classes, and their fusion is controlled by the fusion of conjugacy classes of the group. Dually, we have these local charge, anti-charge operators, and we have one per representation of the finite group. or the continuously.
No, Jen, we're going to get into that. We're going to get into that.
fusion
And again,
is,
I need smarter people than
controlled by the
myself to
visual
figure this out. I'm just
representation of
pointing things at people.
Notice here as an observation that there is the same number. There is basically a one-to-one correspondence between one set of topological operators and the other.
Topological operators being
So
equivalent.
another family of examples concern pure gauge theories.
Oh, look at that.
In
With some
these
circles.
theories, we,
One goes around
we
the
always find,
outside.
a violation of duality in regions with non-trivial pi 1 and non-trivial pi.
Donuts
and
are
dually
important.
in the complementary regions,
Especially
in a region
Clifford
with non-trivial pi
toruses.
d-3. So this.
Okay, that's fun. And then what is it? 2430. All right, blah, 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 blah. Oh, this is so beautiful. This is one of the best things ever.
Yeah.
You say that, are you imagining that on that twist operator there is somehow also a topological surface operator crossing the surface?
Well, this is we wouldn't say it that way. This is what we discussed. We can discuss it better later.
But it's important that the twist operator is not localized where the dotted line is, but also.
So the twist operator. So the twist.
As long as that twist operator isn't localized within the standard area, all I'm saying is, I think it happens inside the orange. Wait, go back here. Now, instead of basically being more symmetrical, because look, there's all these little stringy things in here and everything, and then how they're connected, I can kind of like start to peel them out. They kind of seem to be going over a membrane. I don't know. It all seems to be connected somehow, but instead of that, remember what we were just seeing. It's basically a crazy action, because how are you going to try to perfectly balance what is perfect? I don't know. Real life it's better than fiction. I'm just saying. Continue, sir.
Just, I mean, there is if there is another current, so you just construct this twist operator by integrating the current with a smoothing equal to 1 of the integral of J0 over the green region, so that in the green region you have the charge, the conserved charge. And
I apologize. I'm eating the universe.
Just you need to smooth it, and you put down to 0 the smoothing, so that it does nothing here in particular. Okay, so this operator.
It's on the doobly-doo. Basically, it continues on for a little while. You check out the paper. I probably should actually look up the paper and everything. But the last bit that I got up to so far, and this is wonderful, because Elon Musk says we probably live in a simulation. Now, what could that probably mean?
They are integers, yeah, and we expect them to be 0 or 1.
Imagine shock.
But then it's not at all obvious that they're independent of the representative. So they, I mean, the representative set even. I could add to your set. I could add a bunch of extra operators. So I don't see that there's a canonical
Oranges are amazing, my friend.
algebra associated here.
Basically, earlier within
within
the other thing where they had like the little quantum stuff in there. If you're going to account for the stuff in there and then account for the actions, I mean, you're going to account for that, except for the part where the universe twists over and you're getting all those supermassive black holes to go bang.
Yeah, that I'm not going to present today a
I'd
generic
say that
argument
would.
in that regard. Let me say that all the theories that we have considered, for example, these families of theories like.
So basically, they continue into a whole bunch of other math stuff and everything. Again, if you're into that stuff, totally check it out. Even just listening, because I listen to a lot of stuff. Because do I know everything in there? No. Do I really want to? I would like to. But if I really want to try something, I go to Wolfram Alpha and I basically just type in the same things or something similar, and I play around. That's how I kind of learn. And getting some of these things to work, you're like, that's very beautiful. And I can actually do this at home. But all right, we're going to pop over to a couple of things real quick. So basically, we'll just go over the window. All right, so we're over here. Now, I actually looked up some of the things in here because, as we can see here, describe the principle of completeness. It serves physical, observable algebras. Shout out to Professor Wolfram and Team Wolfram, because they're basically, I've been watching and at least listening to some of the videos on mathematics and their computation. They're basically just modeling all these different mathematical systems, and it's like if you do enough different computation within each of them, they seem to kind of be equivalent or almost kind of converge, just down to almost like a point there. It's very interesting how these work. So I started looking up. What was it? What was it? They always come in dual pairs with precisely the same size, measured by the Jones or algebraic index. Entropic order/disorder parameters can be defined in a sense of dual pairs of generalized symmetry satisfy a relation dubbed by the certainty principle due to its connection with the uncertainty principle in quantum mechanics. I found that interesting. So I typed into the Googles. Here's what comes up: the subfactor. In the theory of von Neumann algebras, a subfactor of a factor M is a subalgebra that is a factor and contains 1. The theory of subfactors led to the discovery of the Jones polynomial in knot theory. It's that Jones guy again. So we go down to this little theorem. So as we can see, it states that N is a subfactor of M, both of type 2. And then the index M. I realize I said there were going to be a whole lot of different things, but I ate the universe. We're here now. Is either of the form of 4 cosine times a pi over n squared within the brackets there for n equals 3, 4, 5, ... or at least 4. All these values occur. The first and they go in there and get the square root of 5 there. So I looked at that. I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. Is this the same? Is this the same Jones guy? Oh, not polynomials. The algebra generated by the elements e to the n, where the relations above is called temporally Lie algebra. In statistical mechanics, the temporally Lie algebra is an algebra in which are built certain transfer matrices invented by Melville Temperley and Elip Leib. Is also related to integratable models, knot theory, and the braid group, quantum groups, and subfactors of von Neumann algebras. Now, apparently, they were saying some of the algebras were equivalent there. That sounds very useful. This is a quotient of the group algebra of the braid group. So the representation of the temporally Lie algebra represents the braid group, which is often give invariance for the knots. This is why I finally donated to Wikipedia. It's probably the best donation I've ever made. I'm just like, at least for me, just for what I use it for, aside from just helping people. Helping people is good. We should prioritize. I'm a terrible person. In mathematics, the braid group on n strands, also known as the Artin braid group, is the group whose elements are equivalence classes of n braids, and whose group operation is composition of braids. Example applications of braid groups include knot theory, where any knot, and then it goes on. And then that got me thinking, I'm like, oh, well, because they also mention, I apologize, I missed the other guys. I still need to look them up at some point. Comment on the relations with Weinberg-Witten theorem, because Weinberg's essentially the guy that basically has the standard the standard model the way it is right now. He's the guy that has it set up that way. And Ed Witten, basically, he happened to win the Fields Medal. He's basically one of the fathers of string theory. He's like, oh, all 5 major string theories, seem to kind of be converging somehow, and that seems interesting. Oh yeah, and yes, Sir Von Frederick Randall Jones is a New Zealand mathematician known for his work in von Neumann algebras and knot polynomials. He was awarded the Fields Medal in 1990. It's basically the Nobel Prize for mathematics within the United States, I believe. The Weinberg-Witten proved 2 separate results. According to them, the first is due to Sidney Coleman, who did not publish it. It's A3 plus 1D QFT quantum field theory with a conserved 4 vector current. JVU, or whatever that is. I need to learn my signs. The 4 current. Now, we're looking at that. In special and general relativity, the 4 current is the 4-dimensional analog to electric current density, also known as vector current, is used in the geometric context of 4-dimensional spacetime rather than 3-dimensional spacetime separately. Now, at least according to Thad's book, New 44, we have 44 derangements, which is the basis of the Planck time. And then you got space, and then you got mass, You get temperature and you get charge. Those are the 5 Planck constants. From those, we can essentially derive pretty much most everything else that we have, right? I'm just saying, I think we just need one more articulation within there, and then I think we got it. A lot of smart people are going to need to figure that out. I'm just saying that be something to look at. Oh, yeah, and we get C4 current, which Poincare code invariant. What is that? Relativistic physics, Lorentz symmetry named after Hedrick Lorentz, is an equivalence of observation or observational symmetry due to special relativity, implying that the laws of physics stay the same for all observers and are moving with respect to one another within an inertial frame. Yes, as long as that inertial frame probably isn't crossing over into a recycled universe, you're probably typically fine, or within an event horizon, something like that. Gives. Okay, we're not going to go through every single way. The gauge invariant, there happens to be any gauge symmetry, which hasn't been gauge fixed, does not admit. Basically, you're measuring from where you're measuring, because Dr. Eric Weinstein gives a thing. It's like, well, where's sea level? Well, that's going to depend. Are you on the beach or are you in Mount Everest? Where you measure depends. So that's why I got away from gauge theory. Does not emit massless particles with helicity. Basically 1/2. There's non-zero charges associated with the conserved. Basically goes into, you shouldn't necessarily have this, but we're just missing one additional articulation. Might that just rig-a-jigger our formulation? I'm just saying, and then I go on the proof there. And then that got me to thinking. The quintic function. An algebra quintic function is of the form, basically, you got your f there, and you got e to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And apparently, as soon as we get to the quintic functions, everything kind of goes nutty bananas. There seems to be no one real way to do things. I left Justin up there saying that he wanted a just orange for so long these things happen, but all I'm saying is these seem to be incredibly hard to prove because they have an odd degree. Normal quintic functions appear similar to normal cubic functions with graphs, except they may possess an additional local maximum and local minimum each. The derivative of a quintic function is a quartic function. So this kind of just got me to thinking about why maybe trying to do this or things beyond it really seem to get difficult. I don't know. All I know is we got basically 5 math operators. We seem to have 5 basic dimensions of actual causality and everything that are going on. I realize people will disagree with me, but I just kind of wanted to put that out there just a wee bit. And the other reason why I do say this is because I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But all I know is I keep hearing these things.
Type in a number, or you type in alpha wolf and alpha, and it spits out a number that happens to be identical. Identical. And we know the mass of the electron really well. And it spits out the mass of the electron. Now, if that doesn't really blow your mind.
Imagine my shock. All I know is I hear folks say, well, we mean theory of everything. You're going to describe everything. No, but all I'm saying is basically, they're like, well, you need to explain the numbers that we see, our observation. You need to explain how we get there. Dude, man, just solve for the mass of the electron. It's right here. Oh, hold on. Wait. I got to change the thing. See? Oh, there you go. See? If anybody, hold on. Let me make that move. There you go. If anyone wants to try to solve for the mass of the electron, now again, maybe you need a little bit more in there in that matrix or something there. All I know is I basically have it in the book. I still need to officially buy it. I finally paid off some credit cards. So, again, I'm just saying that I think we live in the tastiest universe. Why? Well, we're here, dude. That's the thing. Life is a journey. Whatever happens, you got to play the game rather than getting caught up in the past, this, that, like I usually do on a fairly frequent and regular basis. Like earlier, I'm like, oh, why didn't I do this? Why did I do that? If you're just dwelling in the past, aren't we kind of just crashing our own personal wave function, making things harder rather than focusing on like what we're actually doing? We're spending computation elsewhere rather than living, rather than trying to figure this cool stuff out. Why? Because we can. And all I also know is a apparently, come on and get your log. Everyone needs a log. Come on and get your log. Everyone needs a log. Log from Blammo. Thank you, Jen. Logs are important, as well as can we falsify?
World exists on the top of a giant turtle.
Not exactly that, but is it possible to falsify turtles all the way down? I'm just saying, question construction is important. Peace out, everybody.
Have you guys checked out the Memes of Destruction's channel? He's an interesting dude. I like him.